Hey everybody, we're coming to you live from outside of Houston at our new little acreage house. And today we're going to talk about things you should consider when buying small acreage. And for those of you who don't remember, I'm Roddy.
I'm Landy.
And together we talk about all things real estate, how to invest, buy properties, and how to retire early through real estate. And I'm also a realtor here in the Houston area, so feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. So, things to consider. What are some things that people should think about when buying small acreage?
I think number one thing is how far the small acreage should reach your city.
All the things we're going to mention, it depends on how you feel. It's all a very personal feeling.
Yeah.
Like for us, we're probably about 45 minutes from the outside of Houston. And that's to the edge. When you go downtown, a little bit further. So again, some people that may be too far, some people that may be not far enough. So consider how far you're going to be to the nearest big city that's going to have all your amenities and all the things you need and all the creature comforts that people like. What else? When you're looking at a home?
I think another one should be how big the acreage you're looking for.
Right.
Are you only looking for 1 acre, you're happy, or you need at least a 5 acre? Some people maybe I need a 10.
Or more, right?
Right.
And now when you buy the property itself, what are some things you need to look at and consider when you buy the property, right? Again, that could be like how much you can actually use the land or how much is usable, right? Like for our particular land, you can actually walk almost all 3 acres, right? There's one little section maybe you can see behind us. That's a tiny section where you really can't walk back there. There's too many trees. There's a little creek back there. But the rest of it, you can pretty much walk the whole entire property.
Yeah, that's very important to me because I love to walk around. We used to go to some wooded acreage, and it said 5 acre, but once you're there, you don't feel it's like 5 acre. You only get 2 acres. Like 3 acres are full of woods. You barely can walk in.
Right. And so you need to consider, is that okay with you?
Yep.
Or you're going to have to hire somebody to kind of clear the land, which is possible at a fee, right? Anything can be done for money. And so again, maybe you like the land or the area, so you can't have it actually cleared out by hiring some people to do it for you. I think another thing people need to consider when buying some acreage is the maintenance to keep the acreage nice and clean and tidy.
Yeah,
right? Just like us.
That's important.
One of the things we're finding out, and we kind of knew because of the time of the year, is things like all the foliage that's on the ground, right? It's fall and winter, we have tons of leaves on the ground, right? Which we're actually out here today burning, which seems like an almost impossible task. But again,
of course, it's nice to have trees. Yeah, especially for the hot summer in Houston area. Oh, it's so shady. The temperature drop another 10 degrees. But consider the autumn, winter time. Lots of leaves.
Lots of leaves.
Yeah.
And then then
the branches drop a lot after the heavy wind last week.
Right.
We got to the property, so many small, big branches just everywhere on the property.
Yeah. And so you have the leaves in the fall and the winter, and then when it comes to spring and summer and going even into the early fall out, here in Texas, you have to consider mowing the lawn, right? If you can see behind us, there's even some grass behind me. So again, you can't do something like this with just a push mower. You're going to have to buy some more expensive equipment, right? For our particular property, we're probably looking at what's called a zero turn, right? Because we have so many trees we have to work around. And again, these things are not cheap. Maybe on the used market, if you're lucky, maybe $1,000 to $1,500. Brand new, you're looking at about minimum probably $4,000 to $5,000 on the low end. Yeah. So again, this is the equipment you have to buy to help maintain the property.
Or some people say, well, let's just get goats.
Yeah. All right, sorry about that. That was actually our neighbor introducing himself to us. Which actually is another good point that you should consider when moving into a home with some acreage, which is who are your neighbors and how close are they as far as proximity to your house? For some people, they may want neighbors close by, or some they may not even want to see their neighbors. And so far, actually, our neighbors have been pretty friendly. I think we've already met about 3 or 4 of them. We've talked to them, got to know them about the area, what's going on, lots of gossip. Yeah. You get to hear all the little juicy bits of stories from everybody around, which I guess that kind of that small town living. So always get to know your neighbors, right? Again, how close are they? I think you like that.
Yeah, I think the good distance is good. I also don't feel very comfortable only live like one house and then all neighbors are miles away. That's too far.
Yeah.
I think good distance, but not too close.
Right.
Not that they could see you from your window.
Right. Here you keep your windows open and they're still far enough that you can still have your own privacy and you can still have your own conversations and don't have to worry about anybody being right on top of you. So again, get to know your neighbors. Very important. What else?
Is your property in the flood zone or partially in the flood zone? Before buying that, better check it out.
Yeah. You don't want You don't want any big storms coming by. Again, especially here in the Texas area, along the coast or any coast, right?
Yeah.
And or by any big rivers. And you're right. You don't want any areas of your property underwater, whether the whole thing or part of it.
Yeah, even partly.
Right.
Normally they should disclosure that.
Right.
But do your own due diligence.
Yeah, always try to find out. So yeah, get to know the property. Right. I think another thing, one of the most important things about buying small property is the home itself. Right? What kind of home are you looking for? For some people, they're okay with modular homes or mobile homes. Our particular house was a brick home on a foundation. So again, consider what kind of actual property or home you want on your property, and any renovations that might need to go along with that. Is it going to be a new build? Right? Is it going to be old, like our house? We had to go in and renovate a lot of things, or maybe just a few things, maybe just some cosmetic makeup. So consider the actual property or the house itself on your property, right?
I think another important thing personally we experienced is always check the property right after the rainy days. So you could just step on everywhere to see if there any very soggy parts or any water just collected on certain parts.
Right.
Like it once happened to us. We went to check a property right after heavy raining day, and good we chose that day. We walked to the 5 acre. It looks so pretty on the pictures, but once we walk there, so much water spots everywhere.
Right, yeah, very soggy, very difficult to walk around the property. And that kind of water is not going to go away in a day or two. It's probably going to sit there for days, maybe a week or more, just depending on how much rain fell that particular storm.
Right, so that's important, right? You don't want to buy it on a sunny day, then once you're moving, the rainy season coming.
Right. Yeah.
That's too late.
Yeah, now you're stuck there. You're literally stuck in your home and you really can't enjoy the land.
Right. And another thing talk about the land is when you drive in. But normally you see the property listing or someone send you your house, you don't see how the roads are or the streets are when you drove in.
Or your neighbors.
Right, and your neighbors, yes.
What their property look like.
Yeah, our experience is you drive on the very smooth big road, and you turn right to a small street, then the story happened. It become very
uneven,
bumpy,
or caliche, which is like a stone,
or
just dirt roads.
Right? We don't want that.
Right, and then it becomes very difficult to get there. And you get there, the property's so nice, but do I want to drive through 5 miles of dirt roads and this and that, especially on rainy days or bad weather days? Right. And then the one thing I mentioned about your neighbors around you is, again, a lot of times when you see a property listed or for people, they'll show you the pictures of the property. They don't show you what's across the street or what's next door, right? And we actually had an experience just like that here. We actually looked at a property one street over that we were kind of interested in because it was around the same price and everything looked good on 5 acres. And then a couple of things. One, like Landy mentioned, it was 5 acres, which is bigger than ours. But if you look at the open space, it doesn't look like 5 acres because there was so much wooded area. Two, as we were driving in, we had some of the neighbors approach us and, who are you? What are you doing here? And a little bit kind of territorial about their house, which is fine, which I guess to a degree is good. At least they're protective of the area. But then the house itself
that's important.
Was a little bit kind of, a little bit messy. Well, I say a little bit, but it was very messy on the outside, lots of trash. Again, not something you want to walk out of your property and look across the street and see that every single day.
And wild dogs.
And wild dogs.
Not really wild dogs, it's their dogs, but they just everywhere on the street.
Dogs roaming around all over the place.
And keep barking.
Yeah. I think something else you can consider when buying property is, can you use your land for something, right? Can you actually use it to generate some kind of revenue, right? If you're into farming and all that, like our particular land, you can, on this area back here, it's not completely fenced, just some mending, but if we wanted to, we could put some goats or sheep. You can raise chickens. I mean, all kinds of things you could do, if you so choose to do that, right? You can actually make money from the property. If you have enough timber, I think I've heard you can even hire timber companies. They'll come out to your property and cut a lot of that timber and they'll actually pay you for it, right? Because they can use that timber to produce all different kinds of wood product. So there's lots of different things you could do with your land. So that's something you could consider, right? If you like to be active and do things outside, what can you do with the land? How can it generate money for you? Yeah,
like our property sits on 2 lots. So the other lots, if down the way you want to do rental or put a property there, put a shed there,
right? Or
just sell the lots itself, have a new build down the way, it's all possible.
Right.
Right. Yeah. It's the potential of the land value.
Right. We could put homes over there and have some rental properties, and sell the property in sections. And again, so that's ways to generate more money off the property, which makes this particular property that we bought an even better investment for the price we got and the money we put into it. There's
Right.
so much more potential in that we could get out of it down the line. So always consider that. What can you do with the property?
Another important thing talking about the raising animals, so that's the fence. But the fence costs a fortune.
Not cheap.
Some acreage there's no fence at all. You're gonna consider that cost.
Right.
If that with the fence already built on,
It makes it much better.
that's
right?
good.
Like for our particular property, the whole entire front section is actually well fenced. It's well protected. It keeps the dogs in. Like I mentioned in the back, there's some mending, but I would rather take that or just a little bit of patchwork. That's compared to putting up a whole entire fence around 3, 4, 5, 10 acres. Right? That's going to cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
And speaking of costing money, if you do have animals and raise animals, something that you have to consider that sometimes people don't is those animals get sick and need maintenance and care too, right? And a lot of times veterinary costs for those particular animals, like farm animals, may cost even more. So you have to consider any cost that you may incur raising livestock, right? Because they get sick and they get hurt and injured too.
Another thing talk about the livestock is always check with the HOA that has a restriction or what kind of restriction they have, or no HOA. You can have any animals on your property.
Right, or certain types of animals, right?
Yeah.
Again, here we're pretty fortunate. It seems like we have neighbors with some pigs. We have a horse across the way. So I think
no
it's pretty
HOA.
open. Yeah, no HOA. You can pretty
Yes.
much do what you want. And that's one of the advantages of country living. You're very, very, I think almost rare to maybe never you're going to have an HOA. Unless you're closer to the city and you have a little acreage, there may be some restrictions. But once you get this far out, it's pretty much do what you want with your land.
Yeah,
Right.
another thing we never happened to us, but until we bought our last property, we realized that the water costs a fortune.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
So you have to consider how
Yeah.
much the water bill will be. Ask your neighbors.
It was crazy.
Yeah, that was like about $200 a month.
For water, right? And they were the only water company in town, so you couldn't shop around or use a public. It was a privately owned company, and they charged an arm and a leg. And luckily, that was a house that we owned or financed, so we never really had to take care of the water ourselves. Maybe one bill, I think.
Right.
But yeah,
That's crazy.
That was-
$200 for water.
yeah. Look at the utilities because they can change when you go out into certain areas. They may only have certain utilities you can use, right? You may not be able to shop around, right? Just like for us, like for internet. We actually got a good deal, but at the same time, there's only one internet provider.
Yeah.
Right. So consider that when looking at property.
I think another thing can be a survey, of course.
Oh yeah.
If you
want a survey,
right?
Or you need a survey, right? Again, our particular house we didn't, but if you go buy a house through traditional financing through a bank, they're going to require a survey
anyway, right?
And then usually for bigger pieces of land, they're going to charge you a little bit more. And again, that can vary depending on the land itself, how far it is. There's a few things that can change the price, but it's definitely going to be more expensive than if you get a survey for a house in the city or a suburb.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you want to make sure what are your lands.
Right.
Don't ever listen to someone. Yeah, that part is ours. But in the end, once you purchased it, if you don't have a survey, then the neighbors say, no, that's ours.
Right. Then it just becomes an issue. So
Yeah,
always
sure.
get the survey if you can, and maybe we'll get one. Maybe, but we'll see.
I think that's pretty much. Oh, what else?
Yeah, I'm sure there's always other things to consider. I'm sure we missed a few, but again, if you have acreage or know family and have heard of some issues, we'd love to hear from you, right? What are some other issues you may run into? If you have acreage, what are issues you have run into? Again, leave a comment. Always, if we appreciate it, subscribe, like, so we can kind of keep passing this information on, and we'll talk to you later.
Okay. Thanks
Bye-bye.
for watching. Bye.